What's up? Bro's locked in thought right now.
I know I'm trying to look at this recording. It says our storage is full. All right, whatever. We're good. Uh, what's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, admin operations?
Yes, that's me. That's who I am. Let me.
So today we got Mr. Gianni here, my buddy, Mr. Mr. Close Your Deal, Mr. Marketing Wizard. We're just gonna chop it up, talk about some sales shit, talk about maybe a bit of my story, maybe a bit of yours, kind of like what got us into high ticket sales, what makes our shit different, drop some nuggets and kind of go from there.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about what makes our shit different.
Well,
Yeah.
let's start like where did you start off in sales? Well, maybe start off where we both
Let's
started
like
off in
yeah, like
sales.
okay, yeah. Where did you start off with sales?
Yeah, because like I have like the highlight reel, worked with Bull Gordon for a year, Eli Wild, Alex Becker, Rudy Maurer, Les Brown, Jordan Belfort, fucking right now, this dating offer, sold high ticket trumpet. I sold sales coaching, like you name it. I sold so much shit in the high ticket space. I got started off in door to door sales selling solar right out of engineering because I was watching all these Ty Lopez videos. He's like, you gotta start a business. I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that because engineering sounds really gay. So I was reading all these business books behind me, and it's like, yo, if you want to start a business, you got to learn sales. So I was like, oh no, like that's why I went into engineering, so I wouldn't have to talk to people. And I was like, well, I guess I'll learn it. Like, let me use my engineering brain to like figure out the fastest way to learn it. I'm like, well, if I went and sold cars, like my roommate at the time, I had to stand on a lot for 12 hours and talk to maybe 10 people a day. I'm like, I need reps, right? Like, that's one thing I understood. So I was like, well, I should either do cold calling or door to door. So I ended up doing solar in Canada, which sucks because there's no sun, but that's what I did for 2 months. My first sales gig, I made 14 sales, but I only got paid for half of one, so I made like $250 in like 2 months. I was like, this isn't gonna work. Then I went to sell like Bell, which is like you know basically our version of like AT&T, like home phone internet. I did that for like 6 months, and they gave me some sales training. Literally the first job I had, they're like, all right, here's like the product information about solar, and I go sell it. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, okay, like thrown to the wolves. And that's what got me into sales. And eventually I got into freelancing, started an agency, started a coaching business, coached like 300 people on how to like sell their own shit, grow their own businesses, made a couple people millionaires, a couple kids, which is cool. And then eventually,
Some broccoli heads.
a couple broccoli. Yeah, I didn't have many broccoli heads back then, but yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah,
What about you?
yeah. I actually started a program called the Broccoli Head Millionaire Program, and that's
Oh
my
yeah.
first offer. No, I got into sales. Fuck man, like network marketing. I don't even know if I told you this. Network marketing, selling for. I'm not going to name the company because I might get sued, and I think that they don't exist anymore. But they were huge, and it was selling
Okay.
basically like travel insurance and like travel vacation bundle packages, and
Yeah.
actually built out a pretty decent downline, which is pretty fucking crazy.
Really?
Yeah, dude, but it's like the scummiest shit in the world. Like, it's like you're kidnapping people. Like, you take. It's like if I was your friend, right? Well, obviously you're friends, but I'm like, hey Ben, take me to your friend's house, right? I enroll you. And I'm like, take me to your friend's house, and we show up at
Yeah.
like midnight, and they're just like, tell them to come outside. And,
What are we gonna jump him?
and like
Get his ass.
they get in the car, and they're like, yeah, here's this fucking iPad. I'm about to fucking pitch you for an hour and a half to give me $300 to join this travel insurance program. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you do that consistently enough. Yeah, the pitch is pretty strong. Retarded offer, but I'm glad that um
Bro, I sold travel recruiting also. Like my dad owned a travel agency, and I was like I was like he had like an MLM style travel agency. Not really MLM, but more like teaching random people off the street how to sell travel. That's like they grew a huge business doing that. So for a little while, I was recruiting people and trying to close them for like $400 to pay for this travel agency training, and it was good. Like it paid the bills at the time between that and freelancing because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I got one client. My very first client I got with freelancing, I quit my job. I was like, I'm out of here. I was working at this agency. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm done. I'm making 14 US an hour, whereas they were paying me 13 Canadian. So I was like, I'm rich now. Fuck this.
Right.
And yeah, dude, that's funny. My stepmom, she tried to like pitch me on joining her MLM, which is like some weird patch thing you put on yourself, which is like a pain relief thing or ones that help you sleep. She's like, you should join it. I'm like, no, you're not kidding me. She's like, it's such a good opportunity. I'm like, they all are.
They
Some
all
guy tried
are.
to recruit me in fucking college to go join Melaleuca or whatever it's called. I was like, yeah, this sounds kind of cool. He's like, yeah, here's how much you need to get started. I was like, oh, no, I'm broke.
It's a brilliant business model. I mean, yeah. If you could
Yeah,
start
if you're
with
the one who makes it, if you're the one
yeah,
who
if you're the
owns the
one who
shit, if you're at the top of the little
yeah.
pyramid thing, like you're the one making the money. But yeah, dude, that's funny. And so
It's
I know
fucking brilliant.
you sold like kitchens, like in home. You're like selling $60,000 kitchens on the back of a napkin and shit like that, which is
Oh,
crazy.
hilarious. Yeah, dude. Like no, not even like samples and like physical material to show. You're like, here's a picture of a render, not even an actual kitchen. Here's a
Yeah.
3D render of a kitchen and hopefully it'll look like this, but
No promises. That'll be
no,
60K.
no promises.
Sign you up for like a 60-year mortgage.
Yeah,
Like
basically,
what
it's
the
like,
fuck?
by the way, sign your soul away and your unborn children for this
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah. Dude,
Fucking hilarious.
so we met on a certain influencer's offer. I won't name names because that's not very cool. But dude, what I found in the high ticket space is like some people are really good at sales and marketing, but they suck at fulfillment. Like their offer is so bad. And I remember you closed a $50,000 sale and they never even called the guy for like months. I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. So
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, bro. They were like, they had this dude calling me like, what the hell's going on? And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, here's the thing: if you can't call someone who wires you 50 grand, like, well,
Yeah.
then
Hey, like, do I get anything for this money? Like, no, fuck
right.
you.
Then like, do you
It's
even give a fuck about somebody who spent $500 with you? It's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah,
crazy.
like completely non-existent fulfillment. Hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I've really seen like the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to high ticket businesses. There's some that are just amazing. Like, in a lot of it has to do with the management and the marketing, the funnel, the offer itself. You actually believe in what you're selling. A lot of these companies are just like, hey, we're just going to scale. We need a salesperson. Like, we're bringing on more salespeople than we have leads. It's like whoever's the best one gets to stay. And you're like, this is horrible. Like, it sounds like the offer that you're on right now.
Yeah, it's like they do like Survivor Island. It's like we're gonna take 10 reps and put them on this remote island to fight over 3 leads, and
Yeah,
whoever
yeah,
survives gets to the next round. And it's like, dude, you're burning through talent, and like they're thinking like, dude, I fucking suck, but it's like reality. Like they're on a deserted island, and then you
yeah,
look across the way and like the top rep is like dining at like a 5 course meal and it's like doesn't
yeah,
have to do shit. It's just fucking killing it. Like, why can't you be like that guy?
yeah, yeah. He's
Fucking
like the
crazy.
only person who's getting like qualified leads to his calendar, like sets and stuff, and everybody else is like fighting over like people that live in their car.
Yeah, basically. That's what 90% offers probably are that try to scale, if I had to guess.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty
So it's
painful.
interesting, man. Like every time in sales, like I remember when I sold my own coaching offer because I took all those calls. I remember my very best call. I was like, man, that call was so good. And then I listened to it like 2 years later after I think I might have still been on Cole's team. And when I listened to it, it was like the cringiest thing ever. I sounded retarded, but the guy paid in full and stuff. But when I listened to it, I was like, it's so bad.
Right.
And then like you think every time you think you hit a new level, like 6 months later, you go back and listen to your calls where you think you were so good. You're like, this is so fucking bad, dude. Like it's funny. I've been through every single sales training. Like I remember like with my coaching offer, I joined Eli Wild's one of his programs. This is the very first program that he just launched, and our revenue went from 30K per month to 50K the next month. I was like, "That's sales is it? Like sales is crazy. Like this is I finally get it." And that's like what made me a big believer and like why it's so powerful. It's the first time I was like, "Holy shit!" Like sales is your friend, you know. But it's cool. Like the way I sell now is like so much different than even like a year ago,
Yeah.
kind of. What I find is that most companies they try to like make you like they try to like they have like a box and like they try to make you fit in the box. So like sell exactly this way. Here's our script. Here's a pitch. Like say it word for word, you know. And it's like you're like a an actor trying to fucking memorize your lines and shit. And it's all this pressure. It doesn't come across right. And the fucking like of course your close rate sucks because you're like oh my god, am I even saying the words right? So when you're pitching, you're like, I mean this, like you're like tripping over your words. Like the prospect doesn't know what this script is, but you do. It's like, oh, I mean, this. Like, imagine if you're in a normal conversation and your friend was talking about like that, you'd be like, dude, is everything all right? Like, what? Are you good, dog? Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck is
like
going
what the
on,
fuck is
man?
going on? Yeah. 100%. Not natural at all, just like
Yeah,
totally rigid. It doesn't also like follow normal human conversations. It's like, what are you talking to robots? Like, there's no space for nuance at all in these scripts. I remember the
yeah,
last couple offers ago, they gave me a 25-page script, and they were like,
yeah, yeah.
do
Dude,
it.
you showed me that. I was like, this is fucking trash, dude. Do not use this,
They were like,
please.
do it exactly this way because this is what's been working. I'm like, there's none of
Define
like,
working, like
yeah,
define work. And like people are buying every now and then.
people are buying because, yeah, I mean, straight up just like lay downs. But I feel like those are the top reps, and then I listen to their calls. No shade, but I'm like, dude, there was no resistance in that call. You didn't do tie downs. There's no cost of inaction. There was really no urgency built up. And these are people that like, you could just say, hey, it's 15 grand. They're like, okay, where do I sign up? And
Yeah,
that's
like, great. Do you take Amex? Or like, yeah, I do,
right.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
it's fucked. It's fucked. And it's like, yeah, if you so many companies want you to abide by that system because it's working for a couple people, but that's not how humans talk. That's not how people converse, right? It's just it's
Yeah, I
wrong.
remember like because I was like a setter on Cold Scene for like 11 months, and then I went to become a closer and a sales manager, and then back to closer again on a few other teams, and then I went. This company made me an offer like, hey, we need a setter right now, but we're going to pay 10% commissions on an $8,800 offer. So I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really easy, and it was. But the very first call, it was a new market to me. I never sold. It was like real estate, and the fucking guy listened to my call, and he's like bro, I thought you were better than this. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're not having level three conversations. I'm like, what's a level three conversation? What are you talking about? It sounds like you just made that up. He's like, well, you got to ask like all these like these types of questions. I'm like, bro, like I made like 250 grand, like generated like 250 grand worth of revenue in a month. And it wasn't from having level three conversations. It's like having a normal conversation with somebody, figuring out if they're a good fit for your fucking service, if they're qualified, and then you put them on a calendar. Like it's you don't need any like crazy witchcraft to do sales. And I think people they get sucked down the rabbit hole of like becoming mini Jeremy Miners or like mini Cole Gordons or mini like I don't fucking know whoever like the next flavor of the week sales guy is, and they just actually forget how to have a conversation. Like we have a setter right now. I think she still works for us. I listen to her calls, and it's like it's a dating offer, right? And it's like the very first thing they say, it's like, hey, what made you, want to download this book thing about dating? He's like, dude, she's like, the guy's like, yeah, I just had a really bad, like a really traumatic experience with my last relationship. And like, what's the very first, if you're at a bar with your buddy, he says that to you, what would you say?
Tell me more.
Tell me more. What
Tell me
happened? What
more.
do you think she said? Oh, like, what's your goal with your date? It's like, oh my God, bro. Are you reading off a script? One thing I always like that Eli Wild said is like you got to read the human, not the script. It's gonna get dark here in 2 seconds. I'm gonna turn on the lights. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah, the human element. That's what, and I think like what's painful about sales, and I think what a lot of these managers are doing is the reason why they're so by the script is because they want a system where
Yeah,
they can just like hire people and maybe not grade too much for competency, but like their hope is that they could take
just
someone
say
from the
these words
street.
and it will work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And like that's really not what it's about. It's really human to human than anything. It's a lot more nuanced. And like to be a good sales rep and to be able to develop, you need to have behavioral flexibility, and they don't
Dude,
prioritize
yeah.
that.
Yeah, man. I always say now it's like I go into these dating calls not with a script. I know the main points that you have to hit on a call, right? But like the main one's pain, right? And so it's like I'm not going in there thinking like, okay, I'm going to ask this question to get to this pain. Like, how many dates have you been on? How many of them like did you hook up with? Did you like those like could be good questions, but it's more like okay, like what are the areas that somebody has pain in? If you just ask them about these areas, like, well, tell me about the last date you went on. Give me play by play. Tell me about your last relationship. Tell me about your dream girl. Like, tell me about her. And like, do you feel like you deserve that type of girl? And it's just like it's a mixture of asking insightful questions and just knowing where to look and actually listening and just like going off of what they said rather than like following this like perfect syntax slash script thing. Because like you listen to the close like the owner of this dating company's call, she doesn't follow any script. And she closed like at 80%. And it's easy to say, well, she's the owner, so like that could be it, but it goes back to like dating because I actually learned like picking up chicks before I learned sales, which is the only reason that it gave me enough confidence to think that I could sell people because I go out and cold approach chicks all the time as my hobby. So it's like in dating, there's like two things, right? It's like if you want to attract a girl, they say it's like there's part of its value and then the other part's like comfort, right? So it's like the comfort part is basically the way I think about it. It's like it's building a connection with somebody, and the way that you build a connection is like when you if I was on a call with you, like you feel like I really understand you. I'm asking good questions. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, and kind of like doing things like that. And when you build a connection, it creates comfort, which is like, oh, I can open up to this guy. It allows for like vulnerability, and when people are vulnerable, then they'll go deeper. They'll admit things that they wouldn't admit to other people, and it's like you can get to the truth and you can go have a deeper conversation. And it's really hard to just have like a script where it's like, okay, first you say this and this and this to build comfort. It's like not how it works.
No, it's really not. And I feel bad for a lot of reps who are thinking that they're shit and that like maybe they're not good at it. And even though they're probably good people, people, and that's why they got into sales in the first place. But then they're like, yeah, I'm
You're
doing
like,
the
oh
script,
no,
I'm
yeah,
doing
yeah,
everything
yeah,
that's told to me, but I'm not closing deals. It's like,
yeah.
well,
It's like
there's a
putting too
reason.
much reliance on your script, basically.
Yeah, and like it's only gonna work for you what 15% of the time. Like that's so crazy, right? Like
Yeah,
imagine, and even like pickup, right? We both have a background with pickup and like dating. I'm not gonna go too
yeah,
deep in too much
yeah.
detail
We
about that.
could, but yeah,
It
yeah,
could, it could, but like, all right. So imagine going to the mall, right? And you're one of those guys. I'm gonna try to get like 20 numbers, right?
yeah,
Imagine going up to every single girl with the same exact pickup line, no matter
yeah,
what the
yeah, yeah.
circumstance
It's
was.
not.
Like,
It's dude. I have a funny story for this. One time I went out with my buddy. He's like kind of a nerdy dude, and I walked up to this group of chicks with him, and I was like, "Hey, this is my friend." I won't say his name in case he watches this, because he might. And I was like, "This is my friend. I'll call him Bob." And Bob's really sad, and all the girls were like, "Oh, what happened?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, his girlfriend cheated on him." And the girls were like, "What?" "Yeah, with his dad." And they're like, "What the fuck?" And they all started laughing and stuff. And he went around to every other girl. He's like, "My girlfriend cheated on me with my dad." And they're all like, "What the fuck? That's weird, bro." And it did not have the same effect
it did not
whatsoever.
land. Yeah, dude. Like
He's using it as like a tactic, as if I just like I like okay, I'm going to use like the my friend's dad, a girlfriend cheated on him with his dad line. It's just some stupid thing that came to my head. I thought it was really funny, but yeah, it's like well, it worked that one time. I got a good reaction that one time. Let me just repeat it every single time, which is what people do.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everyone's different. Been on a sales team with a guy who had like no awareness of other people and was so rigid to following a process, but he closed
Yeah.
consistently. But
Hmm.
that's like 10% of people. Most
Yeah.
people can communicate and like understand cues, right? And can figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
like read the room. Like you're not gonna like. I mean, I'm sure you've made people cry on calls. I've made
I
countless
make people
people.
cry in person.
Yeah, but like you're not gonna go like, all right, so, oh man, so you're doing this because your mom died and now you're the head of the household for your other siblings. Um,
How does that
so
make you feel, man?
yeah, yeah,
It feels
right.
horrible. It's a lot of pressure. is that
Yeah.
having an impact on you? Like, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Like it's just that it just doesn't make fucking sense. If you wouldn't talk to your friends like that, like why would you talk to a prospect like that? I think that's really what
Exactly.
it comes down to. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it comes down to. Like say like I always say like a script is like it's 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 like a way to mimic a conversation between some like the same type of conversation you have with like a concerned friend, or if you were
Right.
concerned about them, or like you were at a bar and some dude's like, dude, like my girlfriend just left me, and it's, oh, what happened? Da, da, da. Oh, like why didn't you get a new girlfriend? I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, like what have you tried? I don't like nothing. I fucking go on Tinder and it doesn't work. Well,
Yeah.
dude,
And then you're like, tell me about a time that not having a girlfriend made you
yeah,
feel like a dork.
yeah. Well, what's gonna happen if you don't find a girlfriend again? Like, I don't know. I guess I'll be lonely forever. I mean, are you willing to sell for that? No. Well, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? I don't know. Like, do you want some help? Actually, that might even work. But
Well, it probably would work, but I'm just trying to. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to use an extreme
yeah.
example, but
Well, when I sold this trumpet offer, like the guy that sold it, he closed a pretty good percentage. The owner, and like he like obviously he played trumpet. I didn't know anything about trumpet. He's like, just follow the script like word for word, like literally in the pitch and the price drop is like, it's like you had to say it perfectly with the right tonality and all these different parts. I was like, dude, like this sucks. This fucking sucks. And it's like, is it the script that makes people buy, or is it the fact that they feel like you understand them and like the solution makes sense to them, right? And people will go into like the whole thing how you need to have conviction, right? Like you must be super convicted in your offer. And I kind of like I get that. I kind of agree and I don't agree because like your conviction doesn't necessarily matter. I don't think it really does. All it like the main thing that matters is that you have a good understanding of their problems, how your solution solves it. You can demonstrate that, you can explain it to them in a way that makes sense. And you ask enough questions to get them to the point where they're like, yeah, this is a problem that justifies you asking like a high price for them to solve it. Right. And to
yeah,
go back to like the dating thing, it's like, what's an offer that has a very high take rate? Like you very rarely get rejected from this offer, like a proposal, right? You wouldn't propose to a girl unless you knew she's going to say yes, right? I don't believe in making offers to people unless I know they're going to buy it. Like I like for them to ask me for the offer. They're like, okay, like what is it? How can you help me? I'm like, okay, cool. Like I think I've gone deep enough.
yeah. And I mean, I have my own feelings about assumptive selling. It's kind of annoying to me, but some people really rely on it. But yeah, what proves like that the
Well,
truth
some
that
people are like excitement closers, I feel
right.
like our buddy
Oh
who
my god, bro! Like I can't. I remember like
like you
because
get
I'm
this and then this and this. Like they try it's like weird. It's like you're watching like a webinar, like
only if
they're
the
doing like
person was on that vibe. Only if you're matching the vibe and you really built a ton of rapport. But I've been on teams where they were like, you need to be like, okay, and then we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna get you on this,
yeah,
and it's like, bro,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
who the fuck sounds like
And
that?
it's like, well, you get all if you sign up today, you get all these bonuses too, which they're
Right.
like if you were to just buy them individually, it would cost like $10,000. But if you sign up today, it's like, who's teaching this stuff, bro? Like I would never sell like that. Like my sales manager right now is like, this is how you should sell. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I am not doing that. There's no way.
Yeah,
There's no
but
fucking
wait,
way.
there's more.
But wait, yeah, exactly. It's just
Yeah.
like, bro, just like make them the goddamn offer.
But I think what proves the truth about what you're saying earlier about having, you don't need to be the full expert is SaaS, right? Because the nerds who are coding the software can't sell, and then you got like the quote unquote jocks or whatever, the guys who are a little cooler with people who can sell it. They don't know how the fuck the AI is gonna do what it does. They just know it does
Oh,
what
it's
it
just
needs to
like,
do.
oh, you have this problem. This is what it solves. It's like,
Right.
again, it's like if you can't accurately, basically, I think of it like a VSL, right? The job of VSL, like if you look at the structure of a VSL, video sales letter, in case somebody doesn't know, it's like you start off with someone's problem, right? Hey, like you're not making any sales and it sucks. And every time you get on a call, you're kind of pissed at yourself because you should have closed that guy, but you know that you let him off easy. And it's like just making you doubt yourself. And it's like you go into the emotional problems. It's making you feel like sales isn't it for you. But you see other people that are crushing it. And you're like, well, that guy doesn't seem better than me. Listen to his calls. And it's like he's not even doing anything. He's just getting laydowns. And it's like, well, the real reason why you can't sell at that level isn't because you don't have the right sales skills. It's not because you don't have the right offer, but you're just not explaining it the right way. It's like basically coming down to like the root cause of their problems. If you can just understand that and like how your offer basically solves that and just explain it in a way that like a 5 year old can we get it, or like your grandmother, that alone is going to be like, oh, I get it. Because I was coaching one of our clients who helps with like anxiety coaching. And his pitch is like, well, here's the two things I'm going to do for you. Number one, I'm going to do this so that you never have to worry about anxiety again. And number two, I'm going to work with you so that you're in control of your emotions. And that's it. Like, and then like that was his pitch. I'm like, well, like you're telling this person like, and he's like, do you have any questions? And she's like, yeah, well, like, how does it work? Which is like the obvious question, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, like it's the simplest
Paint the
thing.
picture. Yeah.
It's not even painting the picture as much as it is like, okay, well, like the root cause of why you have this anxiety issues is because it's like
XYZ.
you're I don't know, like you just make it up. It's like, you haven't trained your mind of how to like react to things appropriately. So your mind just goes crazy when little stressors happen, right? If you just knew how to train your mind and like and like flip and like get out of fight or flight mode or something like that and back into like, you know, parasympathetic mode or whatever, you can control your anxiety in every situation. Does that make sense? I go,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. And the way, okay, well, that's exactly what I'm going to help you do. And the way that we do that is like I do these two things. And then they'd be like, oh, I got it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, so if I only knew how to train my mind, then that means that I can get over this, right? Now they can internalize that. And now it's that, again, Eli talks about if then means, right? It's like you're internalizing the process. And it's like, oh, okay, very straightforward. And then the
It's
path of
like,
least resistance is
yeah,
doing it with
it's
you.
that. And it's really just showing why everything else that they tried has been like the band-aid solution. It's like you have a bullet hole in your
Right.
arm and you've been putting a band-aid on it. It's like, well, first we got to just like remove the bullet hole. That's why the band-aids haven't been working.
Yeah. Yeah. Dating offer, right? First, you got to figure out why no
It's like,
girl wants to sleep
yeah,
with you.
yeah. It's like
Yeah.
number one, this offer. It's like, well, listen, dude, like, how often are you even exposed to beautiful women that are like your perfect 10? Like, oh, like never. Okay, so like you're for number one, you just have never even been exposed to them. So they're like you're putting them on a pedestal, and it's like it's like you're getting in your head when you're talking to them. And number two, it's like, yeah, you never got honest feedback from a woman in terms of like what they liked about you, but what they didn't like. Usually at the end of the day, they're like, yeah, I just don't see this going anywhere. And you don't know why. It could have been a stain on your shirt. It could have been something in your teeth. You could have just been boring as hell. But if you never get feedback from an actual woman, you're just playing the guessing game. And then from there, it's like you just don't know what to say and do. No one's ever taught you how to like
Yeah.
confidently approach a chick and take her all the way from like hello to like going on a date to like hooking up to like becoming your girlfriend and getting married. Like you just don't have a skill. Like you don't have the skill sets to do it. It's just a skill. If you knew how to do that, do you think that you'd be able to like approach a chick? Oh yeah, I think so. Cool. And like, do you feel like you're totally confident? Like, oh well, maybe. Okay, so like maybe there's some like limiting beliefs there. If you felt like you got rid of that fear of rejection, do you think like then you'd be like in a place where you could be successful? They're like, oh, I don't know, maybe. Okay, do you feel like you actually deserve this type of girl that she just explained that you wanted? And they're like, well, I don't know. Okay, so you might have like an identity issue, right? So it's like these are the things that we have to fix.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
thought about any of this stuff? And I'm like, wow, no, I haven't.
No, I
And like
haven't.
that's like
Yeah.
oh, I like you got them at that point, right? And it's just a
Yeah.
matter of like closing the deal.
It reminds me like diagnostics is such a good first pillar for an offer because it reminds me like weight loss or like just stepping on the scale and just consistently measuring your weight yields
Yeah,
results. Most people don't even think, they're not even
they're scared
introspecting.
of it, bro. They're like, oh,
Right.
I don't want to see.
Right. So like with anything, it's like, do you even know how many leads you're generating or how many leads you're losing per month?
Do
Like,
you even know your close rate?
yeah, do
Well,
you even know
it's
your
like
close rate?
it's like 50%. Oh, let's look at the numbers. Oh, you took 10 calls and you closed two of them. How is that 50%? Okay, yeah, I guess it's actually way less. Okay.
Yeah, diagnostics and just calling people's attention to the problem really. Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of sales is, right? You're paint not just painting the picture, but you're walking them through reality, and then you're walking them through what can be. And a lot of scripts, a lot of these scripts don't have that. They don't even hit that. And if I I burned that script. I mean, I deleted that Google Chrome profile, but that was so awful. The script that they used to try to get me to sell for that one offer that shall not be named. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's funny, dude, like this dating offer has been nice because they're like, yo, we trust you, just like go figure it out, you know? And they didn't give me a script or anything. So I was like, okay, well, let me think to the last time that I was like easily closing people. Like, what was I doing? And I remember for Les Brown, he's selling like a book offer. Before I got to the pitch, I'm like, yeah, it's 10K. I would like get them to sell me. I'm like, well, do you even feel like if you wrote a book right now
right.
and you got all this attention, would you even be ready for that? And they're like, yeah, hell yeah, I would. And I'm like, well, like, why now though? I just like ask all these questions to kind of get them to justify to me why like now is the perfect time to do it, why they have to do it, why they're ready, why they're going to be committed, like why like I was like, well, like by the end of the call, people were just signing up super easily. It took me like I don't know, less than 30 minutes to close like a 10K sale. I was like, oh, that was fucking easy. Like, and then for some reason when I got away from that process, you know how it is. It's like other companies like, oh, here's the script, like sell this way. And I'm like, ah, I guess. But then I got back to that way with the dating offer. And like the first week I got two pay in fulls. And I was like, oh yeah, this way is way better.
Yeah, it's much more dialed in, right? And again, back to kind of the topic at hand, just being natural, being having that behavioral flexibility and not have to depend on a script to be able to think on the fly, think really quickly, and that's something that can be developed. It's not something that you have to submit to not having the skill set to do. It's just having options. It's like playing chess, right? Like if you play chess enough and you learn all the openings, eventually you could be flexible. If your opponent does a different opening, you can then counter with something and it gives you
Yeah.
a higher likeliness of being able to win the game. So
Yeah. And it's like most salespeople, they have their standard opening. They just do the same moves every single time because that's the way that they've either been trained or that's the way that somebody else on their team told them to do it. Or like that's the way that the best closer does it. They're like, oh well, I'll just do it that way. The way that you think on the fly is really important because I'm a big believer that like most people like the way that like an offer owner will get their salespeople to learn is like, okay, read the script, memorize the pitch. And they're saying the words, but they don't really understand the thinking behind it. Right. So it's like if the offer owner could close at 80%, typically the best closer will close at 40%, like about half. And the argument is that like, yeah, like the offer owner there's a few. It's like the offer owner either has taken more calls, so they just know it better. Two, they have more authority. Three, they understand the market better. Or four, it's like their thought process is what people are buying into, right? And that's what I believe in because it's like their thought process is really like their IP, right? It's like you have like intellectual property, which is like your philosophy, your way of thinking that it's like when it comes to solving this problem, this is the way that you do it. And it's based on like all this stuff. But nobody really teaches salespeople their thought process. And so once you understand how the thought process behind everything and like the real problems that you're solving and how it works, then you can be real flexible and you can think on the fly and you can come up with your own stories and analogies and like use your own life experience.
yeah,
And that's how you get your own conviction. You don't need to like manufacture conviction and pump yourself up before the sales call.
yeah. And again, you don't need to make up stories and do like fake, things to kind of relate to people. You can internalize what the information is and then you can figure out a way to connect it back to something that happened in your personal life or
Yeah.
metaphors. I love metaphors for selling, especially if it's a product that I've never used. Metaphors are great, really strong. So
Yep. Metaphors and analogies. Bro, my fucking Google chat is just blowing up in my ear. And mute this. Google
um
chat, bro. Oh my God.
should I gotta hop in a sec.
Okay. So we're gonna have to do round two here and keep it going.
Yeah,
There's more
let's
stuff that there's a lot more stuff that we could be talking about.
yeah, I want to dive into a lot of mindset thought processes because I think that how to
Yeah.
think in regards to sales.
Dude, 100%. So a little teaser for the next episode because my buddy, I used to sell with him on Cole Gordon's team, and he's kind of gone off to a different offer now. But he's like, yeah, dude, I closed like 31 deals last month, not too bad. And he's like, yeah, I don't use a script at all. I'm just going into the call like super convicted, and just basically doing it the way that I'm doing now, sales. And I asked him about it, like, where does your conviction come from? And his answer was like really surprising to me. So I was like, oh yeah, it's a topic for another video altogether. So I guess we'll leave on that one.
Yeah, let's do
A
it.
little cliffhanger.
Little cliffhanger. Also, want to get into the difference between sales and closing because I think that very few people
Yeah.
actually talk about that. It's like, are you a salesperson on a closing offer or are you a closer on a sales offer? Because there's a very clear
Hmm.
distinction, and I think a lot of companies hire closers to be salespeople, and that's why they're
Yeah.
miserable. So,
Yeah. That's another topic altogether. All right. So we can hop off
all right.
and we'll catch you on the next one.